One.
Very good. So we will return from closed session with nothing to report out. And we have some guests today that will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
All right. Avid Coyotes, if you can, please unmute yourself. My helpers, the adult helpers that are in the meeting virtually, if you can just kind of let me know if they're all good to go, and then I will begin.
Oh.
Mason's ready. Mason, are you there? Mason's there. Xander's there. Okay. Eva, Danica. All right. Here we go. All right, board members and superintendents. My name is Dr. Shannon Avery. I'm the principal of Pinyon Hills. Every morning at 8 o'clock, I do a live show for all the students. Promptly at 8, the teachers projected. I give, and the intent is way back during crisis learning. My heart was devastated when it's going to be in the building. So ever since March 27th, right before we had our crisis learning handout, I've been doing a daily live show at 8 o'clock every school day for our students to maintain our enrollment and attendance, most importantly, school culture, engage our students, and for those students that are new to us, so they know what we do here at Community College for our students. And we also have some third grade students that are here just to say hi and participate as well. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and get started so you understand what we're doing. Good evening, Avid staff members and Avid Coyotes and Snowline staff. Today is Tuesday, September 29th, 2020. It is day 29 of remote learning. At this time, please stand. Ready? Begin. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and with justice for all.
All right, my friends, please be seated in your remote learning environment. All right.
I wasn't very good at that.
Ready? Today's joke is brought to you by for our attendance clerk. Here we go, my friends. Active listening. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Who's there?
Cargo.
Who?
All right, my friends. It is time for our birthdays. Remember, you have to be active listeners in the virtual meeting. All right. Happy birthday today. Please roll with. I hope you have a wonderful day. And it is time for our attendance. So, yesterday we had 95% perfect attendance average school-wide. That is awesome. Can I get an oh yeah?
Oh, yeah.
It is time to announce the teachers and the grade levels that had the best attendance overall yesterday. In preschool, they had 100% perfect attendance. When I say little, you say mermaid. Little!
Mermaid!
In first grade, in Aladdin Land. It's across the board from Mrs. Point and Mrs. Jackson. When I say Jackson, you say Aladdin. Jasmine! Second grade, Jungle Cruise Land. It goes to Mrs. Knightley and Miss Farinelli. When I say jungle, you say cruise. Jungle! Third grade in Cars Land. It goes to Mrs. Cecil and Mrs. Jones. When I say cars, you say land. Cars! In fourth grade, Lilo and Stitch. It's a perfect attendance across the board. Miss Parisi, Miss Garcia, and Miss Taylor. When I say Lilo, you say Stitch. Lilo! In fifth grade, in Guardians of the Galaxy. It's across the board perfect attendance. Mrs. Coons, Mrs. Steph, and Mrs. Godfrey. When I say Guardians, you say Galaxy. Guardians! Galaxy! And in combo classes, finding And it goes to Miss Fox and Miss Kristoff. When I say finding, you say Nemo. Finding.
Nemo.
All right, good job. All right, make sure we're active listening, my friends. It's time for positive praise. At Hidden, we are respectful, responsible, and safe. All right, friends. Positive praise goes from Miss Jackson to her entire class. Class, way to be responsible by picking up your materials for October. From Miss Coverford to Miss her whole class, thank you for being on time and ready to learn every day. From Miss Farinelli to Anthony Porto, thank you for being responsible and participating in class every day. Let's give a round of applause for our friends with positive praise. All right, we have some announcements. We know that it is important that we get 100% of our EBF forms turned in. Parents, we have to go to this link. Guess what? We only have 8 more students left. That's right. We are at 96%. Can I get an oh yeah? Yeah, that's right. So are you ready to hear who gets which teachers get to put pie in my face live on the Daily Show for so far having 100% of their forms coming in? Cross your fingers. Let's see if it's your teachers. All right. Miss Farinelli, Mrs. Coombs, Mrs. Finca, Mrs. Garcia, Mrs. Steph, Miss Jackson, Mrs. John, Mrs. Cecil, Mrs. Canvas, Mrs. Godfrey, and new to the list, Mrs. Nicely, Mrs. Kwan, and Mrs. Marisi. I know teachers in there are pretty excited to hear their teacher's name being called. All right, friends. Don't forget breakfast. You pick it up Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. Tomorrow, you can pick up 3 boxes of 20-pound boxes of food for your family. So come on down and do that at 9. 5th grade progress reports and lesson supplies. We're going to pick them up this Friday. College Day tomorrow. And it is time for the wheel spin. Are we ready? Get an oh yeah?
Oh, yeah.
All right, friends. All right. Right here. All right, you can still see me, right? Everybody can still see me? Okay. So this is the students with perfect attendance in 3rd through 5th grade last week, and that includes synchronous and asynchronous time. All right, let me get my list properly ready. All right, this starts with 3rd grade. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, friends, cross your fingers. What numbers do we have today? 3, 7, and 21. In Miss Jones' class, that goes to Leilani Gonzalez and Vanessa Sheets. Mrs. Cinca's class, Charlie Herrera and Mariano Navarro. And in Mrs. Cecil's class, Manuel Garcia. Oh, one of my friends in my class. And Mia Marquez. Remember, not all classes are going to win. All right, in 4th grade. Ready? Here we go. 4th grade teachers. 1, 2, 3. All right, round 2 and 18. Mrs. Marie's class, Silas Braden and Rebecca Viramontes, Mrs. Garcia, Corey Garcia, and Mrs. Campbell's class, Matthew Fulweiler and Abraham Rodriguez. Remember, if I call your name, come on down. 7:30 and 3:30 to pick up your prizes at the front door. All right, in 5th grade. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. 1 and 17. Mrs. Kuntz's class, Romeo Labaron and William Sanchez. Mrs. Steph's class, Abigail Ritchie and Jocelyn Navarro de la Luz. Mrs. Godfrey's class, Jolie Allen and where did it go? Rebecca Thomas. Come on down and get your prizes. Oh, and I forgot our novel class. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. All right, number 4 in Miss Foxman's class, that's going to go to Kai Robinson. And Miss Kristoff's class, that's going to go to Hayden Mertz. Come on down and get your prizes. All right, friends, we have one more thing to do. Last week, Mrs. Steph was one of the teachers with the best attendance all week. It is time for her to go into the money machine before I say goodbye and report being back on time tomorrow. All right, we're going to blow up the money machine right now. Give us 1 second. Good job, boys and girls at Coyote. You're doing a great job.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Here's my third grade friends over here. Hey, third grade. Hi, third grade.
Hi. Hi. Hi there, girls.
All right, here we go. Here she goes. She's getting in. All right, Mrs. Steph. Get yourself settled in. All right. Let me explain to my summer. She gets 15 minutes. 15 minutes, not 15 minutes. She gets, oh my God. She gets 15 seconds to collect as much coyote cat. Her goal is to collect the yellow ones, and on the back are the numbers just like on the bill with her list of students, and she can give them prizes for collecting the most coyote cash, and she can't see. She has to only collect it in the air. I think she already did something. And she gets 15 seconds. Here we go. Ready? Let's get the money blowing. Here we go. And here, what is happening? 15, 14, 13. I think this is 17 the money. 6, 5, 8, 7, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Is holding that something behind her back. Holding her hand behind her back.
Come over here, Mrs. Steph. Come over here, Mrs. Steph.
Oh my gosh. She has a grabber.
Girl.
No.
We know that this is not how we do the money.
She has a net.
I said it's okay. Can we give Mrs. Steph a round of applause? Dr. Avery says, catch them in the air. She doesn't say with your hand. So I got a whole pile full. All right, friends. I hope you had a good job, good day. Yes, and there's one more. Special number. Can we get fall break soon? All right. As you can tell, we have a lot of fun doing this for the kids, boys and girls who stay online with me. And at this time, I look forward to seeing everyone back on time tomorrow. And always, 1, 2, 3.
Can you hear? Love your face.
All right.
Oh, that was great.
Hi.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful.
Thank you. It's fun.
That gets them charged up, doesn't it?
Say that again?
That really gets them charged up, doesn't it?
Yes, it does, and the staff.
Oh, that's wonderful. Are there any comments from the board? Questions?
Oh, that was awesome. Thanks for that. That's a great way to start your day. Thank you for that. Thank you for everybody for coming out today to share that with us. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thank you all for being here with us today. It made my day.
Thank you.
Good job, Mesa.
Nice
All right.
work. Okay, we are going to continue then with our meeting, and thank you so much again. We'll go on to community comments.
All right, my friends, you're going to log off now.
Yeah, Dr. Avery, thanks so much. And Dr. Avery, when I say awesome, you say job. Awesome. Yeah. Well done, all of you. Thanks so very much.
Thank you. Bye. Have a great night.
Bye. Okay, so on community comments, we have a comment from Frank Van Kuren concerning district waiver submission. With San Bernardino County's daily new cases once again on the rise, are there any plans for Snowline to submit a waiver to return to in-person learning? Our district's case numbers have held fairly steady for the month of September and should begin to decrease as folks recover, barring any new cases. In my opinion, we can't wait for the entire county to get better, and we should have a goal for our Snowline community. I'm certain as a community we can reach it and get our children back to school. Thank you. I enjoyed that optimism. And a comment from Veronica Booker about back to school. When do we enter the red section and are allowed to go back to school in some form? Will the 3 school options still be given? Meaning, will we be given the opportunity to stay with remote learning, or will we only have the choice of going back to in-person learning or the Snowline Academy? So I know Dr. Holman has a presentation scheduled, and if these questions are not responded to in that presentation, he will be in touch with you either by phone or email. So then that takes us to the adoption of the agenda. Is there a motion?
He has no plan. He hasn't laid out.
Madam President, I move.
Okay. And is there a second?
I'll second.
Very good. And is there any discussion?
No, I just want to pull item number 2, the one on personnel.
Okay, H2.
Yes.
Okay, let's go ahead and have a roll call vote on the adoption of the agenda, beginning with Member Hernandez.
Aye.
Member Colomb.
Aye.
Member Nielsen.
Aye.
And Member Funk.
Aye.
And Christina Berenger votes aye, so the motion passes. And we've adopted the agenda, and on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
I'll motion to approve the consent agenda minus, I believe that was H2.
H2. And is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, and are there any other items or other discussion? Okay, so we will go ahead and move forward with a roll call vote, beginning with Member Hernandez.
Aye.
Member Colomb.
Aye.
Member Nielsen.
Aye.
Member Funk.
Aye.
And Christina Berenger votes aye. So we have just approved the minutes of the regular meeting by teleconference of September 15th, 2020 of Snowline Joint Unified Board Trustees. And we have approved the resolution number 21-1473, recognizing Red Ribbon. I knew I was going to do that. Red Ribbon Week. We've approved the MOU between Snowline Joint Unified School District and other districts in the Consortium for CTE Incentive Grant MOU, the MOU between Snowline and Loma Linda University Children's Hospital, another MOU between Snowline and Borrego Community Health Foundation. We've approved the right to renew the existing request for proposal contracts from 2018-19 school year for the 2021 school year for the following RFPs. Number 18-0014-1 for bread, 18-0014-2 for dairy, the RFT number 18-0014 for 3 for paper, RFP number 18-0014-4 chemical, RFP number 18-0014-5 produce, RFP number 18-0014-6 broadline and commodity food distribution. We have approved the student expulsion and or stipulated expulsion and or stipulated suspended expulsion and the district financial transactions, which then takes us to student learning and support services item I1. And Mr. Miller.
I thought we were going to go back to H2.
Oh, I am very sorry. Is there a motion?
Madam President.
Is there a motion so that we can discuss item H2?
I move that we approve H2.
Oh, okay. Is there a second?
I'll
I'll
second.
second.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. And discussion?
Yeah, Madam President, thank you very much. There's a very special teacher that's going to be retiring from the Snowline School District, and that's Dan Adams. He was a colleague of mine when I was a teacher at Serrano High School. He's taught my kids. He's taught my grandkids. He's an exceptional teacher. He's put in lots of years, many years of service to the Snowline School District. He's one of those exceptional teachers that are just great with kids. My son, who's an engineer, an aeronautical engineer now, and he works for a major firm, I asked him when he graduated Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, in the School of Engineering up there is very difficult to get in. It's a very challenging department there. And I asked him, I said, what was the most important things that we had at Serrano High School? One of those, he said, is I had Dan Adams for 2 years at the high school. He prepared me well for my math skills and my science skills to be an aeronautical engineer. And I just want to publicly thank him for all of his dedicated service to the Snowline School District, and also thank him on behalf of all the students that had him, that you're known as one of the great teachers in the Snowline School District. And I just want to say thank you.
He is definitely a legend at Serrano. Any other comments, discussion? Okay, well, we will go for a roll call vote on item H2. Member Hernandez.
Aye.
Member Colomb.
Aye.
Member Nilsson.
Aye.
Member Funk.
Aye.
And Christina Behringer votes aye. Very good. Thank you very much for that. And that then takes us again to Mr. Miller. I apologize. Item I1.
That's quite all right, President Behringer. Thank you very much. And I want to thank all of you again for sitting so patiently for such a long presentation the last time around. We had a lot of critical information, of course, that we wanted you to hear regarding the learning continuity and attendance plan. So this sitting will be a lot easier for sure. We went ahead and submitted the plan that we had the public hearing on last meeting. And we just submitted it to the county to get their eyes on it, get some fresh eyes, and for them to make some recommendations. And of course, they always work really well with us. Christine Giannunzio, a friend of mine and colleague over in San Bernardino County, she helps us work on our LCAP and helps us to do a really good job and to turn in a quality product each year. And of course, we don't have the LCAP this year, so she's assisting us with the learning continuity plan. We did get back a second revision, or I should say not revision, but recommendation from the county. And all it was, they were very appreciative with all the great work everybody did in the respective areas of our plan. They wanted us to just brag more, and really substantiate the plan with just more details and examples of all the great work that's being done. So we, to make a long story short, I think we went from about a modest 10 pages of the plan to 19, and now I'm on to my 20th page as of right now. So it's all good information. I'm sure you had a chance to review it after Nancy posted the agenda and the accompanying documents. So all I would like you to do today is consider adopting the plan as is, so we can go ahead and submit it back to the county for their comprehensive approval process. These other reviews have been just a professional courtesy for us, so that we have a real good chance of getting a perfect 100% on it when we turn it in for final or for final review by the county, because they technically don't approve it. All they do is make recommendations for all of us. So with that being said, if I have or after some discussion and consideration to adopt, I would just like to ask your permission to go ahead and incorporate any other revisions that we have prior to final review through the county.
Very good. I appreciate it. And thank you so much for all this work and now doubling that amount of work. My goodness. It's got a lot of great content, though, and I do understand the reasoning behind them having us do this LC, and AP. Is what I'd like to do is entertain a motion, and then we can discuss. So is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Oh, okay, and a second?
I'll second that.
Oh, okay, and discussion? Any discussion? Well, it looks like, Mr. Miller, you covered it all so very thoroughly that there are no questions. So we will just move forward then with a roll call vote, beginning with Member Hernandez.
Aye.
Member Colomb.
Aye.
Member Nielsen.
Aye.
Member Funk.
Aye.
And Christina Berenger votes aye, so the motion passes. Wonderful job. Thank you so much, Mr. Miller.
Oh, thank you, and I thank everybody that had their hand in this. It was a lot of work and a lot of great attention to detail from people within my own office and well beyond that all have their fingerprint on this.
Absolutely. Thank you to them as well. And that then takes us to item J1. Dr. Holman.
Thank you, President Berenger. I appreciate that, and I'm thanking in advance my colleague there, Alan Miller, going from his one item there to being what he always does oh so very well, and that would be the projector, if you will, on his screen of what's come to be somewhat familiar, I think, to all of us here, and that is updates on the school setting, right? Updates in the school setting dating all the way back to March. Into last school year when school was stopped as we know it, to right now where we're in a situation where we have at-home learning occurring with remote school and homeschool. And so what I'm endeavoring to do, like I will continue to do, as is hopefully still wanted by the board, I feel like it is, as you've indicated to me thus far, and we'll continue to do so, and that is provide the update on the work being done across the system specific to our learning design that you all need to know. Now, this presentation, I can't remember the number of slides. There are quite a few slides here, and I'm going to tell you, half of them are repeats from the previous times. And I'm doing that because I'll just start by saying, after every board meeting, we post this presentation for those folks who are not able to attend. We appreciate everyone who's making time tonight, right now, and in previous meetings to join us, but we also know that that can't always be the case for everybody. So I bring that up to all of our board members and anyone listening here, that this presentation is always available so that people can access it between meetings for updates based upon what we share right here. So with all of that background, again, Alan Miller, thanks so very much. And we'll start right on the second slide, Alan, and here are the outcomes, just a little bit modified. We've committed to giving and developing, hopefully, the shared understanding through this process that all of you at the board level here understand the latest happenings in in-person learning, knowing that right now we're in a situation that's required to be at-home learning in the state of California, which I'll get into a little bit further in just a moment. And then the second outcome we'd love to occur, and that is we get this commitment to future action that we share with you, what we're endeavoring to do, what we would recommend, and get support behind that. So if those are the two outcomes, and Alan Miller switches to that next slide here, here's just that quick reminder about what we're not. Right now, we're not in distance learning. We felt like distance learning to ourselves here was connected to last year. And in this year, as the next slide shows, we're in an at-home learning environment. It gives us two models. Very proud to say we've got remote school, where kids are connected to their neighborhood or enrolled at school of enrollment on a regular basis with their teachers, and homeschool through Snowline Academy. Very proud to say that we've got two options where parents and families can choose for the kids that fits for them best. And then there's the in-person model, as it says there, when we can. And so as Alan moves forward here, the next couple of slides, here we are. These haven't changed. The homeschool details I say details, but more details than just the previous slide about what Snowline Academy represents. And then the next slide, number 7, the remote school, as we're calling that. And that's, again, this guided instruction by teachers on a regular basis, checking in per Senate Bill 98 each and every day, specific to those connections to attendance and engagement. And so as we move forward and we've seen those slides, that still is in place. And I'll just take that moment before and you can keep it right here, Alan. I thank you for that, but just thank everybody who continues to engage in what we saw right here at the beginning of the day. That's a remote school model. That's that at-home model where kids are connecting with their schools on a regular basis. We're so thankful to have seen that this morning, and all the other work that goes on at all levels. So here's a familiar slide here too, but just that reminder that Governor Newsom a few weeks ago changed our tracking system. It's just really important. I think there's some modifications in this slide to just remind you where we are in that color-coded system. And right now, San Bernardino County, that's the county in which we operate, the governing county for the most part there. We have a little bit of Los Angeles County, as we know, but it's San Bernardino County where our district is located for the most part. We're in purple, and that's the most impacted tier of the color-coded system and most impacted by COVID-19. And that would mean that our metrics, there are two metrics that are monitored on a regular basis. If you're remembering correctly, what was done before this change of the color-coded system, I think this is the best part of it. It's been simplified. Two areas. That's that positivity rate. And that is also the second one would be the number of daily cases per 100,000 residents. And just if people are asking, we have, again, roughly 44,000 residents in our school district based upon the follow-up that we did to verify that. And so every Tuesday, you see that the data are updated. Today is a Tuesday night. We'll give you some details on that. Want to be clear here. There's a question at the beginning of tonight in the public comments about elementary school waivers. Those can occur when we're in purple, and we are in that purple area right now. So too can youth sports, and so too can cohorts. There'll be conversations about those three in just a few slides here. But what cannot occur is in-person learning for all grades. And people might say, well, the elementary school waiver in purple, yes, that's the way the system's set up. But for middle school and high school, that cannot occur in person until San Bernardino County gets from the purple tier to red. So thank you, Alan, for keeping that one up there, and for everyone just persevering through that reminder with maybe a little new details there. And so on slide 9, what we'll see here is, again, a little bit familiarity. There's the color-coded system. I'm sorry that it's a bit faded there, but that is purple. That's that widespread piece. The important piece is here, in my opinion, you already know that we're in purple, is that the new cases have to be or are above 7, right? 7 per 100,000 if, in fact, a school district / in this case, San Bernardino County, because these are really county tiers. We'll talk about our own data a little bit later on. But in the county tier, more than 7 per day, and per 100,000, and then the positivity rate is above 8%. People might say, well, what if one's in red, the other's in purple? Well, the ruling at the state level, as governed by the California Department of Public Health, is to get to red, we have to have both of our indicators in San Bernardino County to be in red, not just one. So if there is one in purple, that means that county would be in that most or the highest level of risk, and in this case, widespread at purple. That's going to come into play again when we talk about where we are with our own data in Snowline, but more importantly in the county, and how those trends have been coming up. But that's the model right there that all school districts are following and are having to adhere to. And it really is not just school districts, but all economic entities, right? All businesses. The blueprint for the economy is what this graphic shows. So again, familiar with it, but those are those reminders. And so, Alan, as you go to the next one on slide 10, somewhat familiar, but there are new data here. And on the left-hand side are dates to show some trends there. You can see we go from August 16th to the 31st, about 2 weeks. Then we go to for a couple times for 1 week, and then down to 2 days and 1 day. And I just think this is important to structure it this way to show you how we've been trending in San Bernardino County. Now, that color there is intended to be purple to show you when the county has been in purple for both of the indicators. Left-hand side, the cases, the positive cases per day per 100,000 in San Bernardino County at 14.5 on August 16th. And you can see for a long period of time, all the way down to September 22nd. So for over a month, there was a trend in San Bernardino County of going downward. That was great news. all the while on September 22nd, getting into red, getting below that marker of 7 on the previous slide, which was great news, right? Because as you go over to the final column, the third column, that's the positivity rate, going from 14% all the way down below the 8% marker that gets us from purple as a county into red. And it has stayed there and remains there to this day, because I have the data even from today that can be found on the San Bernardino County Department of Public Health's website. You can see we've remained all the way up until today in this 5 3/4 to 6% positivity rate for a length of time, and that's really good news. But going from the right-hand side over to the left there, the not good news in terms of data, and I think just about all people rooting for us to get to red and then ultimately orange and yellow, but red means in-person learning can occur for all levels. You can see for one day, literally one day, even though it doesn't show there because I was doing it in two-day increments. But on September 22nd, we went from 6.36 to above 7, and we've just been trending from 7.5 to 8.2, 8.5, 8.75. That trend has been going upward. Okay, so here's that situation. San Bernardino County has now 2 different colors. The default is to the most restrictive tier. So San Bernardino County for one day had demonstrated that it was in red, but is still in purple because of the cases per 100,000 on a daily basis. And so before we go to the next, I just want to remind everyone, so how do we get out of there? Is it just for one day and then we're immediately out? It's actually a 4-week process to get out. And that would be on September 22nd. For 2 weeks, we would have to maintain staying in red or lower, orange and yellow as a county. And that would mean we would move from purple into red. That's when we can open up schools. But what the guidelines say is we have to then demonstrate for 14 straight days, another 2 weeks, that we would be able to then open up after those 14 days. So we have to hold firm for, in effect, 14 days plus the 2 weeks, right? For 4 weeks to be able to literally open those doors, walk through them and say, we're open for business with in-person learning. So those data are really important to follow. Every letter that I send to parents and emails I send to staff, on that kind of regular update process, I want you all to know that there's a hot link all the time to that website. And the data that I'm showing right here are right from that website. Just simply toggle to the CDPH metric monitoring tab, and you can see this and monitor it and monitor the trends as we move forward in San Bernardino County. Now, Alan, thanks for being patient with me. In slide 11, we'll see Snowline's data. And I just want to show you here, you might wonder, just on that right-hand side, I'll address this right off the bat, that DNR did not report. That's a fact, or that's a factor, I should say, of the rules of the game changing. So now they're reporting the number of youth cases on a daily basis, on that total period of time, I should say, for youth cases. And that wasn't always the case. So that's why it's a little bumpy in terms of not complete pure data on that right-hand side. But you can see just Snowline where we are, and I think there was a reference in the public comment that the data are trending downward for the most part over time. Why is it just to the 19th? That's just because how that's reported. I don't have the data beyond September 19th. That's the most recent data that are provided to us. There's a lag period of about, as you can see, about 10 days of time, even not just about, really, to be quite frank, 2 weeks. It'll be a couple more days until we get the next round of data. Just shows you where Snowline is. I want to be really clear here that those data are important for us to monitor because it shows the health of our boundaries based upon San Bernardino County's metrics and supports us in those other realms as we talk about in-person learning. But again, for in-person learning, it's really the county factor that we need to address for all levels. Elementary school waiver is available while districts are in the purple, but there's some steps that we would have to go through in that regard, which can be addressed a little bit further on. So there are the Snowline data. Alan, as we go to the next, let me just go through the various areas and talk first and foremost about cohorts here and the acute needs. That's that terminology, acute needs. who are those students who have the greatest needs is what California has set forth here, and then allowed, whether it be in purple, red, orange, or yellow tiers, bring them in, as it says there, in these small groups that remain pure and remain, their terminology, stable, in groups of 16. When that 16 can be divided up based upon however many adults are needed to best support and keep safe those students who have these specific needs. And we started, as we talked last time, planning for the students who have what we feel like are the greatest needs and the moderate to severe disabilities, and that we would add those groups as being successful. But really with that idea here with the moderate to severe kids is say that we need to connect them, first and foremost, it's got to be safe, and that's always priority one, but also get this group here used to these new social norms. And so as we go to the next slide, we'll see with you, or see together here, that this planning, I think, is setting up quite nicely. I'm very proud of the work being done by multiple levels of stakeholders, getting feedback from our parents, working with our teacher and support staff groups and our leaders to give you this information. 8 schools in our district setting forth to open up these small cohorts to the kids I just mentioned, beginning next Monday for 7 of those schools. And then October 19th might ask, well, that seems like quite a while. Why not that next week? There's a break, October 12th through the 16th. That's a fall break that's on our calendar, has been on our calendar for months and months prior to the school year starting. So that's why the 19th is there. Let me just give you a couple details there. PHES, that's Pinion Hills Elementary School. The one class there will be meeting on a daily basis. Transportation and meals will be able to be facilitated for these kids. Excited that'll be happening on October 1st. And as I mentioned in the previous slide, we don't need to go back there, but just want to reiterate the importance of the educational connections. The social connections will still be physical distancing, right? But we're not going to be socially distancing. Those social connections will be made at 6 feet and beyond, with all the safety precautions like masks and everything else that will be in place. San Bernardino County also has 6 classes that they operate within our boundaries that will be opening on October 5th. They mirror the district's programs that open up throughout the whole San Bernardino County. And so they have indicated they're at the ready. 2 classes at Heritage 2 at Serrano High School and 2 at Vista Verde that are working on a hybrid model. Now that AAOBB is just my language. My apologies. I wasn't able to spell it all out in one line there, but I'm hopefully gonna be able to bring some clarity to that. That hybrid model is really about bringing 2 different cohorts, San Bernardino County, those 2 different cohorts, a cohort group of A that would be making certain that group is under that 16 number, right? That's the requirement at the California Department of Public Health level, adults and kids added together. So that group would come on a Monday. That group would then, that second A represents Tuesday. Those are all days of the week ordered there. The O means San Bernardino County is going to have their kids go back home, and all will be home and online. That's why I use that O letter. They're going to be online on Wednesday. And then you might wonder, well, what's Thursday, Friday to be? That's a different cohort of kids who will come in for the Thursday and the Friday. So again, that's San Bernardino County's classes. I mean, they have their own principles, right? They operate within our boundaries. Those are their decisions, to get them going. But just want to let you know that they're prepared to open up like Pinion Hills Elementary School on October 5th. And then Quail Valley Middle School, as that reminder, and my apologies there, Member Nielsen, I'll get right to you, just finished on October 19th. They're finalizing their plans. That's a middle school, a little bit more juggling for middle school to get them up and going. They've been doing outstanding work, and huge thanks to everybody involved, as I mentioned, led by Lori Delgado. We appreciate their efforts there. Sorry, Member Nielsen, I apologize. I ran over
the San Bernardino County, they're operating within our campuses, correct?
They sure are, and they've done that for, gosh, as long as I've been here.
So the question I have for the county of San Bernardino is, how long does it take if, God forbid, one kid has the virus and they bring it in and they get it on the table? How long does it take before the virus dies?
Well, that's a great question. I think you even brought that up at the last meeting. There was some research there from, and depending on the surface, first of all, I guess I need to know what surface we're on, but I know you had provided
I'm
some.
talking tabletop, hard surface.
Yeah, those hard surfaces. I know you had talked about the research from Harvard University and requiring some, I think, multiple days based on what you shared with us.
It's 3 days.
Yeah, I think that's what.
And so in their program, they're bringing a kid onto our campus. And since it requires 3 days, God forbid if a kid gets sick, for the virus to disappear, we know that that's a scientific fact. The AAOBB does not allow 3 days for the virus to dissipate. And so if you had a AABB or OAABB, it would give 3 days over the weekend. Because our kids are going to be coming back to these same campuses. And we want to make sure that we give enough time because we need to protect our kids. We need to protect our teachers, our employees, our parents. If there's somebody that does have the virus, because they're asymptomatic for a while before you know they're sick. At least we have 3 days so the virus will dissipate. I think that's critically important to the health of our community.
Thanks for sharing with that. I will share with you. This is the information they provided us. We'll certainly do all the follow up, and we need to do more follow up too, relative to everything that you just shared there, Member Nielsen. I know we're not talking about our hybrid model right now. I appreciate what you have just shared there. I know that Robert Chacon, I'll ask him to, really delineate, regardless of which days. I mean, every single day, the sanitization that we're doing, as well as the deep cleaning. Robert, can you talk about the plans that we have already have in place, just so that everyone listening knows the work that's already being done, and then what we'll have to, step up to, as Member Nielsen then alluded to, relative to the San Bernardino County plan.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Ryan. So, that disinfecting process is going to take place throughout the day, not at the end of the day, not once a week. That's going to happen throughout the day. All those common touch areas, surfaces, door handles, desks, tables, light switches, restrooms, all those types of things will be maintained throughout the day. So I think we talked a little bit about this morning in our directors meeting, actually, really talking about the difference between, cleaning and disinfecting. And that seems to be something that we are having to differentiate these days, because really we're disinfecting throughout the day. That cleaning piece, right? We're dusting and vacuuming and cleaning windows, those types of things. Those are those cleaning pieces. But that disinfection is going to happen throughout the day, each day. Hand sanitizer in each of our classrooms. Additional hand washing stations on our campuses, and particularly for our special ed students. Our special ed classrooms have sinks already in them, and some of them with restrooms already. Restrooms will be cleaned throughout the day as well. We kind of have this check-in, check-out process with restrooms. Rick Dawson with our M&O department is working well with his group to make sure that restrooms are being addressed. Same goes with cafeterias. Those common gathering places. Those areas will be disinfected throughout the day.
The question I have is, what are the most disinfected buildings that we have in the United States? Does anybody know?
I can't tell you that one there, Member Nielsen.
It's a hospital. When I go down to my hospital, Kaiser, the doctor doesn't want me to stay there very long. You know the reason why? Because all the bag bugs are there. And you get a chance of being infected inside the hospital. Now, they do more sanitizing than you can imagine with anything that you can sanitize with. They do it all the time. You are correct. You need to wash down and sanitize those rooms every day. But while the kids are there, you don't have enough time to do that deep cleaning that's required. That's a full day's process. I'm not talking about disinfecting just once a week. It's every day, but take that 5th day and really clean the buildings down. But I'm going to tell you, you won't get rid of all the virus. The thing that'll kill the virus is letting it sit for 3 days.
Dave, I think that's what they're trying to do with that O day. Is they want to do a deep clean between the two cohorts.
But the most effective disinfectant is to let the virus die, which takes 3 days. And the problem with this model is there's no 3 days there.
Yeah, there's no model where the math would work out, because how would you do it? You do AA, wait 3 days, and then do BB?
I would do AA, BB, O, and clean, just have the custodian in there, and then let it sit for the weekend.
Do a deep clean. They can't go back to back AA and then the very next day bring in BB.
If they're disinfecting all the time, they can. And this, I don't want to be argumentative, but I know from my personal experience, the best disinfectant for RNA viruses, and I've had a lot of experience with it, is the reason that kills them is to allow them to die out. And it takes 3 days. And so I'm not going to debate the issue anymore. I think we're smart enough to be able to figure that out. You're right, Kenny, we need to clean every day, but you need that 3 days to kill the virus or let it die out. And the science is clear about it. It's not.
There's no option for them to do. What they're trying to do is do a deep disinfect. They probably with UV light, which is effective. It's highly effective, because they want to do a big deep clean. It's the same way in my industry between the two cohorts. They don't want to go AA and then wait 24 hours and do BB. That O day would be, I imagine, involved very, very intense cleaning with ultraviolet and other prohibitors for that. So I think that's what they're trying to establish, is that there is
I know what they're trying to do, but they don't give the 3 days. Let me give you an example. Down on Nilsson Road, we raised millions and millions in chickens in my former life. There's a disease in chickens called Merrick's, and you can Google it. And it's an RNA virus. It causes cancer in the sciatic nerve. And we used to go in and clean those houses out, and we would wash them with a disinfectant, pull the curtains up, and then we'd fog the houses and let them sit for 3 days. Then we would open them up and let them sit for 30 days. If we did that, we had less than 1% infection of Merrick's in those birds. If we let them sit for 2 weeks, we had about a 10%. And so you never get rid of the virus. It's around, just like in hospitals, it's there. The secret to it is to allow it that time to clean. And so I understand what they're doing. I appreciate what they're doing. But you need that 3 days time to let that virus die out. That's the best disinfectant out there. That's the best.
Yeah, but you left that BB cohort hanging out there. I mean, they would have less than 24 hours.
Yeah, but if you have BB on Thursday and Friday, and then you bring AA back in Monday, if the virus is there, you're going to infect those people on Monday.
Well, you're going to infect people on Wednesday if you go AA, BB 3 days off.
Yeah, but there's not enough time to do that. That's more time than deal. They need a 3-day period to let the virus die down. That's my only point, Kenny, and I have a lot of experience with this.
I'm not challenging the 3 day. I'm just saying there's no math that allows 3 days without exposing those BBs to. You've got to have. I mean, you'd have to go AA and then wait 3 days, and now we have kids coming into school on Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
No, what you do, you go 2 on Monday, 2 on Wednesday and Thursday. And it is true that if you have a person that's got infection on Tuesday, and even though you disinfect, that virus still could be there. That'll happen. And so what you want to do is get to 3 days to let it die out over the weekend, Friday, Saturday. Now you could do it on Monday, but if you don't allow the 3 days, and the virus there, God forbid, I don't think it'll be there, but God forbid it does show up on our campuses, That's the reason you need the 3 days. So that's all I have to say about it. So go ahead, Dr. Holman.
So appreciate the conversation here, and please know that again, we're continuing to work with San Bernardino County, but we have to continue to work with all of you first and foremost, right? To understand that it's very well said that what we're trying to do is provide the safest environment in all cases. And as we get to Quail Valley there, we'll let you know that's what they're endeavoring to do. That's why they're starting on the 19th with a middle school schedule. It's different from an elementary school. It's more involved. And so that's why their plans will be finalized on the 19th. So those are the cohorts so that you know that those are coming in. And then as we go to slide 14, Alan, there's another familiar slide, school-based sports. This is on the same cohorting model that the same information applies, right? Very strict physical distancing and those stability of cohorts have to exist. Right with elementary school, beginning on October 5th, they are going to be the first school to be implementing the youth sports criteria set forth by the California Department of Public Health, and they've put forth a wonderful plan that'll provide for the safety of stable groups of kids after school hours to continue the running club efforts that they've had year in, year out when school in person does occur. And looking forward to that starting, like I said, on Monday. Member Nielsen, I see your microphone open. Well, maybe start.
That's before, because I forgot to click it, Mr. Dr. Holman.
Sorry, that was my fault there. My apologies there. So looking forward to that starting, and just want to let you know and make you aware of that. We told you about what those criteria were, and please know there also some people might be asking about or wondering, hey, what about the high school sports, right? So please know that they are continuing to monitor their situation. They're continuing to do work. I was just talking with the principal, Dr. Jones, today, and they'll continue to keep us updated as they move forward with their plans, all the while knowing that athletic competition, if you're wondering, CIF has put that off and practices cannot start until December 14th at the earliest for football, and all other sports beginning after the first semester ends in January. We'll keep you posted on that. So there's the next cohort that'll be coming up there. And then on the next slide there, the elementary school waiver, I know that was mentioned. We continue to, or excuse me, not the elementary school. Well, I'll get to that in a second. I'm forgetting my order here. Thanks so very much, Alan. No, you're on the right slide there. Thanks so very much. That in-person learning design. Alan, thanks for bringing that piece up. Just want you all to know that I'm just so proud of so many folks. Begins with all of you here at the board level, the hard work that you're doing, making these difficult decisions, and then all the leadership working with our staff, continuing to not only monitor the data, but start to build this plan. This is hard work. Against the data that we shared with you. It's just really challenging work to build a plan. And we just heard a discussion between two board members that in both cases, just very powerful ideas were being shared. This is difficult work, and I'm so very thankful. Well, one of the commitments we made to all of you is we're going to get stakeholder feedback. And we've received quite a bit of feedback. I think all the stakeholders they've responded just incredibly well. Proud to be in this district for so many reasons, one of which is when you see this involvement. And so know that there's just all kinds of feedback that we've received. Let's go through it real quickly, because we reached out to parents and we reached out to staff most recently, even our we have also some other things poised here. But as we go to the next slide, Alan, let's talk about the parent data. We had 5,305 responses. It's the most we've ever had here. Every time we put out a survey, they just break records. You think about that. That's when compared to that almost 7,400 kids that we have here. We're talking really impressive numbers here. Pushing around that 70% of response here. That's just that's really amazing there. There were simply
what were those numbers again?
Yeah, 5,305. Member Funk, if you look up here on the slide, there were 5,120 responded in English, and we had 2 other languages there. We had 181 Spanish-speaking individuals who responded to the Spanish version, and 4 on the Korean level. So 5,305, just really impressive out of just about 7,400 kids. So a wonderful response. When we look at the questions, 3 questions, the first question was this: we just wanted to find out, without a lot of detail, just, are you willing to send your child, regardless of the hybrid design, are you willing to send your child if in fact that child has the same teacher, only if the child maintains that same teacher, or do you want to stay with the current at-home learning model? Those are the three choices on the left-hand side, and you can see how it varies along the language lines. I just want to differentiate it there because that's how we had three separate surveys, but you'll see it aggregated and disaggregated in just a moment here. I think it'll be really important, but you can see basically in terms of the numbers, while there are differences in languages, the most popular one was the send regardless, at all grade levels, send regardless of what that design is, and then changes a little bit, right? If in terms of wanting a new teacher, almost a third of people, that's important to them. And then about a quarter of the folks saying we're going to stay at home. Let's go to the next slide though here, because I want to disaggregate the data. I think it's really important to do so. And so you don't see it just at the large level. And when we go to slide 18, what's on 18 will be some bars, some barcodes here, Alan. And what you'll see here is each grade level, elementary school, middle school, as well as high school. Maybe we might have frozen here right now. I know that happens sometimes, not to Alan's fault, but just with our connection. Thanks, Alan, for working through that. I appreciate that. So I'll take you through this. This is that same question.
Are you seeing it?
Yeah, I sure am. Thanks, Alan. Yeah, it just popped up there. Sorry, maybe it was my screen here that was just taking a little bit of time. But thanks for working with us, Alan. So 3 different colors. I'll just call them green, blue, and red. I guess to just for I guess the conversation's sake. The ultimate question again was if the state allows for us to go to a hybrid model, K or pre-K to I should say TK through 12th grade. Preschool has some other accountability system there that they have to adhere to. But which would you choose? So those same answers could have been chosen. And just to remind you, doesn't matter which teacher, I want to come back in person. If I come back in person, I want to maintain that same teacher I have right now or remote school. So let's look at them. They're in blocks of 3, elementary school. On the left-hand side, you can see what the elementary school parents are saying, right? That on the left-hand side, remote school and homeschool, they just want to stick and stay there, just about under 30%. 35% of the elementary school parents, roughly speaking, in that blue bar in the left-hand group of 3 are saying, you know what, it's important to remain the same teacher if I come back to school. And then for elementary school, upwards of, getting close to 40% saying it doesn't matter, I'll send my kids to school no matter which teacher we get. So then as you move to middle school and you move to high school, you can start to compare those bar graphs. And I'll go in the middle school to that red one, and that on the right-hand side of the group of 3 in the middle school saying that they're responding more than the elementary school parents, saying almost, 42.5%. Hey, you know what? I'm okay coming back to school no matter what. And more on the remote school or homeschool, staying home, pushing about 30.5%, almost, just over 30%. And then on the right-hand side, that group of 3 bars, it changes again, right? For grades 9 through 12, those parents saying almost 50%, half of them will get kids back to school, and it doesn't matter if my child's teachers have to change. Then the hybrid model where we want to maintain with the same teacher if at all possible, that's 30%. And then I say only, still a significant amount, 1 in 5 parents indicating that I want to stay with remote school. So there's some disaggregated data right there to show the differences between homeschool wishes, I don't know why I said homeschool, I should have said elementary school wishes, and then going to middle school and high school. Now the 19th slide is going to show the second question, and we have just 3 questions on the slide. So just to give everyone a little kind of check on where we are moving through this process. What's your greatest concern? And this, you can see very clearly there on 1, 2, 3, the greatest concern listed out of a choice of concerns and how they responded on a Likert scale of really concerned to not concerned at all. That the greatest concern of parents that sick individuals are coming to school. Secondarily, that having to wear those masks and doing that with fidelity, and then thirdly, that physical distancing just not seeming realistic. In that order is how all the parents responded. And I will share with you as kind of a spoiler alert, it didn't matter who we surveyed, it always came up that way based on didn't matter which language was spoken. It didn't matter also with the staff, which we'll see, it came in that same order. Those are the greatest concerns when coming back to in-person learning. That's why it says consistent across all who've been surveyed thus far. Slide 20, though, want to give you the third question. We'll give you some disaggregated data on this. That's the use of transportation. Just want to get an idea as a leadership team here, and for all of you at the board level, how many people would want to use it? And you can see there, disaggregated by the three separate surveys that we have on there. And ultimately, kind of we could argue that it's, bordering on a 30% using our transportation and about 70, a little over 70%, if you will, when we combine them all, not needing to use or not going to use, I should say, transportation. As Alan goes to the next slide, though, we'll disaggregate it by levels. I think important to see here: elementary, middle, and high school. The green says a little contrarian. I apologize for the colors now that I think about it in retrospect. There, the green says no, I'm not going to need it. I'm really not going to need to use the transportation. Almost 86% of elementary school folks saying no, and then about 14% said yes at some point in time they would use it. And then it changes going from middle school to high school, right? Middle school, that number right there is about 2 out of 3. It's almost two-thirds saying that no, I won't use it, and about 1 out of 3, roughly speaking, middle schoolers saying, the parents saying they're going to need to use it. And then high school the most, and that's if you're looking at those numbers, it's 58.5% to 41.5% is the differentiation. 41%, the lower bar, saying yes, I need transportation, and no on the green side there. So those are the parent data. Just want to contrast them real quickly with the very similar survey. Oh,
Dr. Holman, can I ask you?
Absolutely.
On the high school, my concern about not providing transportation is our members that are on the east side of our district, where the distance is quite a ways. Do you know where the people that responded this, where they were located within the district?
And it's a great question. The short answer is no. I don't know those yet, but we will know that. I apologize. This survey closed just recently, and a lot of disaggregation would be required, but we can certainly get that. It's a wonderful question, an important question because of things like geography, right? I think you might be getting at, right, is where are the greatest needs from a transportation standpoint? Is that fair? Member Nielsen?
Yes.
Yeah.
If the majority of the concern, maybe we need to transport that area and not transport this area.
Yeah, I so appreciate that, Member Nielsen, you bringing that up. And that is, I'll be honest, in the method to our madness, that is on our radar. I think you might recall 2 weeks ago, we talked about multiple surveys. This is the first survey, and that's, that next level, we'll be able to drill down. And we can drill down right now, too. So thank you for saying that. We will be doing that as we continue to work through these data. And then for staff, three very similar questions. I'll queue up Dennis Zimmerman because he really headed up this one quite well, and just get him ready here. But I can take everyone through at least the initial pages here and ask for some details from Dennis to fill in pieces I might miss, Alan, on slide number 22 as we just about get to the end here. These 3 questions right here, I think are important just to give you the overview. Basically, who responded is question 1, right? Were they certificated staff, classified staff, or administrators? You can see the division there, about 50% on the certificated side, and the other 50% divided by 43.5 on the classified side, and the remaining 6.5 or so administrators. Question 2 that you'll see in further detail that we'll get some great help from Dennis on: are you ready to return to in-person learning? And that is about a 3/4, 1/4 split right there. Yes and no. Dennis has done well to disaggregate the data again, so you'll get ready for this one on the next slide. And then lastly, what's your greatest concern? And there it is again, in the same order. It remains consistent. Sick individuals coming to school to be in the first one, wearing a mask second, and third one being physical distancing. And I will share with you, while it doesn't represent very well in the way that I articulated it, sick individuals coming to school had a significant difference in terms of it being mentioned compared to numbers 2 and 3. Doesn't discount numbers 2 and 3. Just want you to know there was a significant lead, for lack of a better way of saying it, in number 1 being out there across our system, not just for staff, but across the system. So with that, Dennis, I want to just give you this chance to speak to the next slide. That's 23 because he took these 3 questions here and drilled down. Now, Alan will do well to scale this up with a magnification here. He's done that for us and does it well. But I just want to thank Dennis for the work on this because he really put forth the effort to make sense of the data, not just on that aggregate level, but also on the disaggregated level, so you can see what maybe some of the other details that will inform us. So Dennis, thanks again for your work on this. You mind if I just hand this piece over to you? You know these data as well as anybody.
Sure, thanks, Dr. Holman. And I know the presentation there, depending on the size of the screen that you're watching this on, may be a little tough to see the numbers, but where Dr. Holman used bar graphs for the data, I used tables to display it in here with the staff data. But that top right question 2, asking staff, yes or no, will you be ready to return to work with in-person student learning this semester? Overall, Dr. Holman showed that it was about 3/4 to a quarter, 77% to 23% is the total. But when we broke that down by employee group, the classified staff was 86% yes, the certificated staff 68% yes, and the administrative staff 95% yes. And that was fairly, significant for us to know that, take that into account. Top left, the demographics on question 1 of who responded to the staff survey. Who were the 593 staff members that responded? Half of the respondents were from the certificated group. And when we looked at how many actual people responded from each of those groups in a total number, almost 80% of the certificated staff responded to the survey. About 45% of our classified staff responded to the survey when we're looking at them as a total of their their makeup in the district, and about 55% of our management staff responded to the survey. So again, we're just trying to take all those pieces into consideration as we look at these responses and as we look at the comments, which we put some information about that down in the bottom left in question number 4, and that 39% of the respondents, 39% of the 593 people that responded to the survey staff-wise shared a comment with us. Those comments were both for, against, and not sure. A good mix thereof. They would line up with the top right question on ready to return. But then also that means 61% of the people did not choose to share a comment with us. And there's a lot of different conclusions you can draw from that as well.
Yeah, really appreciate that there, Dennis. Thanks so very much. And just want to share with you. So those are the surveys that just rolled in. I mean, literally, the latter half of last week, and so I've been processing all this information really for the most part hot off the press. We'll make it available to everyone. It is available in this format, as I mentioned. Also want to share with you, we committed to more stakeholder feedback. I remember the last meeting I've been in works with principals and continue to work with principals to talk about student feedback. And so already worked with some, and we're setting that piece up just to see where the students are in that regard. We've worked, of course, and always work with our leaders on a regular basis to continue to get their feedback. This is an opportunity to get all of you, your feedback as to where we head, all the while knowing that we know more. Another survey would go out to parents as well as staff members as we work together to build out our plan. We're in the process of that plan, right, and continue to build that plan. We're committed to make that even more collaborative than we have even in the most previous rounds that we've engaged in this. We'll continue to work together collectively. It's what we do in our district, and we need to do that well to ensure that we've got all the voices in here to build out a plan when we're ready to get all groups back. So a lot of talking by me. Certainly want to answer any questions, and I can be happy to do that, as well as wrap up with some final thoughts as we move forward. President Behringer.
Thank you very much for that information. I had a question concerning the county classes that are opening in October. How are those classroom protocols being established?
Yeah, that's a great question. And just a second, I'll turn it to Robert Chacon, because actually they had a meeting around that piece just yesterday. I just want you to know, though, that having worked directly with Ted Alejandre, I can say this before I turn over to Robert, that I will tell you, I really appreciate his leadership at that level, right? You know, it begins with him, and they've made a real strong commitment throughout everything at San Bernardino County, everything I've been involved with. I've really seen them, for lack of a better way of saying it, their actions match his words, and that is that the protocols have been very strong, and I really appreciate that. So that's my background. But Robert, I know you had a meeting even today. We're talking about information hot off the press. Anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, definitely. So the county classrooms are going to be taking place Heritage, Serrano, Vista, and those will be starting up next week. We kind of have the breakdown of times and how many students. So we've been working real close with county on all of that stuff. PPE for our students will be distributed as well. Transportation, all those things will be taken care of on our end to support our kids that are in those programs. So we're still trying to get a little bit of clarity on the staff and really just seeing if they need anything additional, right? We're still going to be responsible for cleaning those rooms. We're going to be disinfecting those rooms, transporting those kids, feeding those students, right? Those students will be going into our cafeterias. We'll be providing 3 meals a day for those students, a hot breakfast, and then they'll be taking a grab and go lunch and supper with them on their way out. Generally speaking, the classes are anywhere from 8 o'clock to 11. There's a few that are 8:15 to 12:15, but for the most part, they're staying about half day with us, and we'll be providing all the same support services that we normally would be for those students. So they're going to be on our campus. They're kind of following our rules, our guidelines, our cleaning procedures, our protocols, in our nutrition department, our transportation. And so we're just kind of waiting to hear back on some of the, maybe some of the needs they have with their staff in our classrooms. But besides that, we're treating them like they're ours. They're on our campus. They're our kids, and we're going to treat them as such.
I appreciate that. I just wonder if they were aware of that 72-hour virus living on hard services thing and how they would respond to that. Did that come up during that meeting at all?
No, it didn't actually, President Behringer. We didn't really discuss that at all. I'm just trying to reflect here to see if that did come up, anything subsequent. And to be honest, I don't know if I've heard that theory in any of our discussions, risk management, our EC meetings. Waxy, we've been meeting with our distributors who supply us with disinfectant and cleaning product. So I could tell you that didn't come up today in our meeting.
Is there any implementation of like plexiglass guards that are compartmentalizing desks and so forth? Yes. And are these students mobile in those county classes?
Some are and some aren't, but we are regardless providing desk shields. Staff is also going to be wearing face shields. Staff is being provided 2 face shields and face masks as well. Students, if they can wear them, if they can wear a face mask, then we're providing those as well for those students.
Thank you for that. It's very helpful that you serve on that committee to be able to provide that information. I appreciate it. Are there questions from any other board members?
And President Behringer, if I can just jump in there just for the whole audience's sake. I know Robert had said EC, and that's the executive committee. Robert, you want to talk about that with the JPA and other, alphabet soup there, the Joint Powers Authority there? Can you just describe that for everybody?
Yeah, definitely. We actually have an executive committee meeting tomorrow morning as well. But that's really it's a body within our Joint Powers Authority. So we are essentially a self-insured school district. We pool our money with other school districts to provide general liability and workers' compensation insurance to one another. And so we serve on a committee to kind of help, as you guys provide direction to us in our school, we kind of provide direction as an executive committee to the JPA and the insurance carrier. They are a body of SBCSS. They're employees of SBCSS, but they essentially function as an insurance company, insurance agency.
Thanks, Robert.
Would the county have classes without our blessing beginning next week?
That's a great question. We'd certainly have to, we would stop that for a moment, but we'd have that conversations with them, and their desire, of course, is to move forward. We certainly get that, and serves kids, and in this area, they serve kids, but we could certainly stop them for a moment. But, in terms of the partnership that we have, we would certainly want to, clear up anything as soon as possible to ensure that, we have the safety for all the kids, and we continue to maintain that relationship so that we can serve the kids.
Well, I'm aware of other districts up north that have implemented, even in the spring, when everything was being shut down, they were educating certain cohorts, and there was no incidence of COVID in the spread of that among that population. So, I mean, that is satisfying to know. I just wonder, about the conversation that are the county classrooms in other districts opening up as well at this time? So it's a county-wide thing.
Yeah, it sure is. In fact, some have opened up, like you said, already and are in operation, and that's the process that they follow. Robert, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, there are a few districts that aren't going to be moving forward with cohorts, so county programs won't be going forward in those districts in particular. I believe there's only 2 that I'm aware of right now. There may be more, but there's 2 that I'm aware of. But for the most part, most districts are moving forward with their cohorts, and the county is allowing cohorts to take place on those campuses.
Do we know the reasoning of those other districts that are not opening county classes?
Not just county classes, but not moving forward at all with even the cohort process within their district. So I'm not necessarily sure of the particulars, but just know that they're not moving forward with their own particular cohorts. Therefore, county isn't moving forward on their campuses.
I see. Have the county students been receiving remote instruction since the rest of our students have? In August?
Yeah, I mean, that would be the case. And I just really, yes, is the answer to that one there, President Barringer. And I'd also say that I so appreciate how you delineated that, and Robert said it well too. So please know that I want to make this real clear to anyone listening. They're not forcing themselves on us. As cohorting is opened up within a district, then they say, oh, well, if cohorting's open up, that's exactly what we want to provide here too. So I appreciate you questioning the way that you did, because we really want to clarify that piece there, that, that if we're opening up, follow the guidelines, we'll do the same as what the county's saying in service of those kids. So thanks so much for asking that.
Do the board members have any other questions?
Yes, I have a couple, Madam President. First of all, thank you all for doing what you're doing. The parents have a huge decision to make. They are the ultimate deciders in this issue. I sure understand parents that choose to keep their kids on independent study. And I also understand parents that want their kids to go back to school. And so the decision should be there. So hats off to you, Mr. Zimmerman, because those are the questions you've been asking them. And hats off to you for the whole administrative team for doing that. Number 2 thing I want to say, I think it's a great idea that the county is bringing those students back. If there's people that really need to be in school are those students, and I think this is going to be an important thing. The third thing, and I hate to bring this one up again, is the liability issue. Who's going to be responsible for this, and do we have enough insurance to cover a program if we're letting the San Bernardino County operate programs in our district and a kid gets sick there, and we have some kids within our regular school district that become ill? I don't expect an answer to that, but that's something that needs to be given serious consideration, because I'd hate to see us go through that. You guys all remember the special needs student in Victorville walking home, got hit by the car, and you know the outcome of that. It was devastating for everyone. The other thing that I want to tell you is I've been sharing my thoughts. I shared it with the school board members. I sent it to the superintendent last week, and he sent it out, and I've reduced all my thoughts to writing. Last board meeting, I made a couple comments, and I had a lot of teachers mostly call me about it, and they wanted to hear what I was thinking. And I told them that we're going to have another board meeting, and I needed to share my comments with the board, which I've done. And if they're interested in see what I reduced to writing, if you contact the superintendent's office and get that information from him, I greatly appreciate it, instead of contacting me individually, because it's hard for me to respond. I want to be supportive of our team and what they're doing. I'm going to ask hard questions, and I always will, if I think there's a concern there. And I'd rather have you get the information from the superintendent's office instead of getting it from me, because I feel like I'm going behind their back a little bit if I start responding to the public on that. And so that is there. They have that information, and they sure give it to you. The other thing I want to say to my good friend Kenny Funk is I think what they're doing with the 1 day off on Wednesday is better than anything. And I think there's a good chance, if that's the choice of the board, that's the choice of the board. The other thing that I really like about this 1 day off and having that 1 day clean, there's other diseases that attacks to kids at school. You know, we have last year a real bad influenza. There was thousands of kids across the United States that died last year because of influenza. I don't know if this is going to help with that. I'm hoping it will. We have diseases like whooping cough, measles. There's all kinds of childhood diseases that can be transported through school. So if we have that 1 day where we could really go down, we need to clean them every day, but we need that 1 day for really doing the best job possible. And so those are my concerns. Bottom line is I support our staff, and I support our board, and the decision of the board will be final, and I'll support that decision. And so anyway, those are my comments, and I appreciate you listening to me.
Thank you, Member Nielsen. Are there any other comments from board members? No. Okay. Well then.
And President Barron, may I just wrap up something, because I think I can tie in the real quickly the public comments, right? And I want to thank all the board members for bearing with me here. It's a long presentation. Hopefully it was assistive to all of you. Veronica Booker had talked about staying in remote school. Those questions in the survey were shaped that way. We're endeavoring to do as best we can, but we also know that this is an ever-changing situation. So I appreciate Veronica asking that question. That's why the survey was put forth that way. We're going to work as hard as we can to do that, but we know that might not be perfect. And that's why we do what we do in survey. But please know that we're trying, but with no promises being made. And the same thing with that elementary school waiver. We were really an all for one group. And as the data change, we'll continue to bring it back to you and look for, direction and so forth. I appreciate Frank Van Kuren, who's the one who asked that one. And just like the elementary school waiver and the stay with remote school, absolutely, we're endeavoring to do that too, like Veronica asked, and everything. But this is I just have to say, in defense of all the people I work with, they're doing great work in hard situations, and it is evolving all the time. So I thank you for this time, is where I'm ultimately going, while trying to still answer Frank and Veronica. This is hard work, and so we're really going to try to be transparent, continue to do so, and that's why more surveys will be coming out. So I'll take this opportunity to thank everyone for responding to the survey, students forthcoming, all these things, because that information helps us shape as best we can within the parameters that are put upon us. So I thank you for letting me just get up on this soapbox and be appreciative of everyone engaged in this. This is just difficult work, and I thank everyone for bearing with us thus far. Thanks for the support from the board as well. And then the final thing I would say is I appreciate Member Nielsen. He's always coming up with ideas, and he's so great that way. I would just ask you, President Barringer, and the rest. I know they said to come to me. I just want to make sure that I'm representing not just Member Nielsen, but all of you in terms of what you want me to do moving forward. And I just want to make sure I get clarity on that. That was the last piece that was hanging out there. I know Member Nielsen said that if people had questions, you'd come and ask me about that. I'm happy to do whatever he and all of you want me to do. I just want to make sure I put forth that to everybody.
Questions concerning what specifically?
I think he referenced his letter. I think that I ended up sending to everyone, and that was on a hybrid model. I think is where that focus is, and I'm more than happy to again do the work of all the board members. Just to want to make sure that he had said for me to pass that forward as people come in here. I'll always talk to people, set forth those meetings for sure, but we just want to make certain that again, that what Member Nielsen said, I think I want to get clarity on that. Is as people come and ask, that I'll distribute that letter. Is that what I heard from you, Member Nielsen, and the rest of you?
That's what you heard from me. I would rather have it come from the district office than coming from me, because people are going to call me. They always do after these meetings. And so I'd rather have it come through the district office, and he knows who's getting it and where it's going.
Well, you are the author of that letter, so I think it would be better to come from you, Dave.
That's what I'm happy to send it to him, but I want you all to know that if you don't want to go through the district office, those people, I will send it to them, if they ask me about it, because it's my thoughts, my ideas, and I want people to know where I'm thinking. There's nothing in closed session stuff in this stuff. It's just my thoughts. So,
Member Hernandez.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
Your mic is open.
Yeah, I think as individual board members, we all have our opinions, and if approached by the public, I don't think it is outside of our realm to say, to share your ideas with those that approach you as such. In terms of other complaints or issues and stuff. We all know that we listen, we provide the feedback necessary and bring those issues and questions back to the district. But I think if the district is handing out information, it may appear to be a consensus or a board position rather than an individual position. So again, to your point, that it'd be more appropriate on an individual basis.
Okay, I'll be happy to do that. I just want you to know, when they call me, you all saw the letter. If there's anything concerning to you in there, please let me know. But it will be going out for the people that want to see it. So that's all I need to know.
Very good. And did that suffice, Dr. Holman?
And that was wonderful. Yeah, just perfect. Just I really appreciate the help there. I appreciate Member Nielsen always coming forth with wonderful ideas to support, and all of you supporting, all the work that you do. It's just really helpful for the clarity on that. Appreciate that. Thanks, Member Nielsen.
And thank you, Dr. Holman, and the team for creating that presentation and all of the data that goes into that, and doing the surveying and so forth. It's really helpful. It's pretty clear that we're all wanting to go back to in-person, but we have to do that safely and deliberately. So I appreciate your efforts in that direction. So that concluding the presentation takes us to board member comments. And I would just like to thank Ms. Carver at Heritage School for inviting me to visit with her 5th grade class and observe the organization of her structured day. It's kind of like a model of what remote learning can be. She has produced a fabulous, engaging schedule. And I am also impressed in her allotment of one-on-one time with those students who, may have gone missing and aren't showing up and so forth. I think that is important. And as I understand it, that's a requirement. Is that accurate? That teachers need to meet one-on-one with each of their students, which is asking a lot, but it's important. Dr. Holman?
Yeah, I can just say Senate Bill 98 talks about daily interaction, right? That daily interaction. Alan's our expert on that. But Alan, you want to add to that the one-on-one is outstanding, but that's based upon probably decisions made by her and the school. Correct, Alan?
Yes, that's it's an optional thing as far as the one-on-one, and we encourage teachers to do it safely, with another adult present in the chat and whatnot. But it is a nice added service. I know Wrightwood teachers are doing it as well, and they're getting a lot of mileage out of that one-on-one time. It really is. It is powerful, beneficial, and really gets kids to open up. Whereas they might not open up as much in an all-class setting.
Very good. Yeah, it's she organized her schedule as such that it was very impressive. And so I wanted to thank her for that opportunity to observe. And I also wanted to give a shout out to Tony Chafee and her nutrition department. I have a neighbor whose student attends our district, and she has certain dietary restrictions. And Tony Chafee's staff just went above and beyond in meeting those needs for that student, and provided them with something that met what her dietary restrictions required. And I just thought that was phenomenal, and I wanted to thank her for that. And so that's all the comments that I have. Member Hernandez, your comments?
I have no comments this time, so thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Member Colon.
Yes, I was invited by Mrs. Carver also to her class, and it was a really cool, eye-opening experience. I mean, there's a lot of people, a lot of teachers that are working really hard to make this remote learning work. And a couple things I noticed out of the whole thing. One was earlier, some board members were talking about tutoring. I think Kenny was talking about tutoring, and I came to realize while I was watching some of the interactions that when I was teaching, a lot of the tutoring occurred peer-to-peer between students, and so I didn't have to spend a lot of time with, as much time as I would have in remote learning, because kids would just naturally work together without even, prompting them to do so. So then I brought that up with Mrs. Carver, and then I brought it up with Mr. Primo. And apparently a lot of people are working on that, on how to make that work through the remote learning format by opening up times where kids can come together and do some tutoring. But bottom line, thought that I had was remote learning isn't the best, but I'm noticing that it's evolving, and the longer we do this, the better we're getting at it. And the teachers are smart teachers in Snowline, and they're figuring out new ways every single day to make this thing work better and better. And I was wondering also, would there in the future be a need for snow days? Could we do remote learning in anticipation of a snow day?
It's such a great question, Member Colon. We've talked about that concept. Robert Chacon and I have certainly enjoyed getting up early and driving the roads around with Shannon Barassa, and having a good time early in the morning hours. But I think your point's a great one, where we really have to maybe use as a test case the Bobcat fire, to be quite frank. And there's some similarities, but there are some differences. The similarities, I think, Member Colon, is that when we talk about those days and safety, we have staff members coming into work to make use of and access the materials and the internet access and so forth. And so in that regard, if there isn't stable internet in a home setting for a teacher or the support service staff who log on and provide that assistance, that's something we're going to have to overcome a little bit. Now, that being said, it doesn't mean that we can't overcome that, but we have to consider that because again, if there isn't stable internet access, again, that's just one thing that I use there, and that people can't come in safely, that creates some concerns. Robert and I've, had some initial conversations. Robert, you want to add to that? Because not only the fire has been an example, but also what we talked about with snow.
Yeah, I'm going to be really sad if that happens, because me and Ryan have a really great little short skit for you guys this year set up for our snow day morning video. So I struck out last year. We had no snow days last year. Everything happened, we got all our snowfall during vacations and breaks. So I've been holding on to this one like a year and a half. So but in all seriousness, no, we've definitely been talking about that. What a cool opportunity this has really provided us, right? Kind of look for those silver linings through, this whole COVID pandemic. And I think that's one of them, Steve. I think we have a lot more flexibility now, on how we deliver instruction, how we close schools, how we decide emergency school closures. I think this has definitely given us a lot of flexibility and some opportunities to do things that we just haven't done in the past. And to me, that's exciting. I'm excited about it. So we have a couple wrinkles we need to iron out, definitely. looking at how we can make it happen, though, to be honest. So see what happens. Hope for a good winter. So
Elon Musk is sending up all those internet satellites. Maybe that'll solve it for everybody.
Will be a big help. And then Member Colom, if I can just ask Dennis Zimmerman too. Yes, he's been working directly with staff really to a certain degree in this regard. Dennis, can you talk about, again, some of the challenges that sometimes we forget about, but doesn't mean we can't overcome for sure, right, Dennis?
No, it definitely doesn't mean we can't overcome. My first thought was take a tour, around the district. And I know many of you have on a school day, and a large number of staff are providing the remote learning service from the place, from the school sites, from their spaces here. And in order to, on a snow day, have everybody provide that from home, they need to be set up equally in both places. And right now we've asked them to choose one or the other. And so, it's kind of asking a lot to have home set up as your place of business and your place of business set up as your place of business in order to do that. But I agree, if there are ways to avoid canceled, postponed days of school because of inclement weather, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, Member Colom, so thanks for asking that question. It's a great one for sure. So know that we're working on that. And I'll turn that back over to you. Sorry for interrupting, but want to make sure we gave you the details behind that.
Oh, that's all my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Colom. Member Nelson, your comments?
Yeah, I'd just like to compliment my colleague, Mr. Colom. He got a lot of mileage out of that. I think that's a great idea, eliminate those snow days. And they're thinking about it. So I think you brought forth. I think you had more success than I did with my 3 days of letting the virus die discussion. So anyway, this is what I want to say, and I'm very sincere about this. First of all, I want to thank all of the district administrators for all the work they've done. I had the pleasure of being with some people last weekend that were in other districts, and I got to tell you, ours is going much better than these other districts that I was talking to the people. So I think that's right on the back of our administrative team. And again, it goes to our teachers and the staff. They're the best. They're working really hard. I think it goes to our parents. They're giving it a go. All of them I'm talking to, they're trying to make this work to the best of their abilities. And I especially want to thank the students because they're trying, and I really enjoyed the presentation at the beginning of the meeting. That's the one thing in this whole distance, or I shouldn't say that, at-home board meetings we're having now, is I got to see kids again, and that's worth 1,000 words. That's a whole lot better than all the other stuff that we kind of talk about. So anyway, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Nelson. Member Funk, your comments?
Yeah, I agree with Member Nelson. There's a lot of gratitude for the teachers and students and parents, administrators, James Field and Rick, for getting out all the information. We're staying informed, and that's helping out a lot. So a lot of gratitude for that. A lot of gratitude for fire personnel. Man, what a job they have and kept our community safe. So I want to thank them. I want to thank, again, the student presentation. Dave said it great. It's about the kids. And coming on to the meeting and seeing those kids there and staring at us and we're staring at them, and it made it all worth it. So thank you for Mr. Miller for setting that up. More of that, please. So, and then thank you for the boxes and all those who provide those, the food boxes I'm talking about, from the farmers to the drivers, to the providers, to the staff that set it up and get it out to the kids. I hope it's making a difference. My quote for the day comes from Winnie the Pooh, and it's for, but not limited to, our students. There is something you must always remember. You are braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. And that's just, we're all in this together. So hopefully you take those words. And the last thing I have, I'm for snow days. All right. I mean, sometimes there's nothing better than just a good old snow day. So do with that what you will. Thank you for your time.
Well, you did not disappoint. I love that quote. And good point about the snow days. That then takes us to administrative comments. Moving to Mr. Miller.
Thank you, President Behringer. Just a few things here I want to follow up with all of you on. First of all, just wanted to give a shout out to all of our sites working so hard on getting those EBF numbers up. We're officially hot off the press at 73.32%. We're still really closing in on that 90%, so we want to hit that. We're hoping to clear that number by the 7th of October. The sites are really doing a full court press on reaching out to those families that have not participated in those forms yet. It's a real, and this is a plug for anybody who's out there watching right now. If you haven't completed the EBF form, please go ahead and do so. It really does take a very short duration of time to complete it. It's quick and it's easy, and it really does help out our school district. Oh yeah, along with that, I wanted to give a shout out to Dave Winward. He really came on to something that's going to really help our streamline this process moving forward. We learned that students that are in CalPads, if their families are receiving any kind of supportive services through the state, the county, and whatnot, any kind of assistance or whatnot, they are direct certified. So those are families that will be counted automatically without having to have them fill out the EBF form, which will really cut our numbers in half as far as who we're reaching out to, and just make the whole process more efficient overall and getting our numbers up. So thank you, Dave, on that. I want to also give a shout out to Dr. Pam Buchanan, going back to the learning continuity and attendance plan. She did some wonderful work in helping to reach out to key people to help us bolster the information that we already had in that plan, and did a great job. Really took a lot of the work off my shoulders for that second round, and so I'm very appreciative of her assistance in that. We have a Kagan Cooperative Learning date coming up. It's a voluntary date that we have probably just around 100 teachers that are going to participate in that now. And that is going to be on Thursday, October 8th, between starting at 2 o'clock and ending at 4 o'clock. So that'll help round out their day, their Thursday right before the fall break. So very appreciative that so many teachers took an interest in this, and it should be a great session, and it will really help build the anticipation of a physical return to school. So I'm excited about that. If any of our board members would like to join us on that session, please reach out to me, and I'll make sure that I get you the proper credentials to log on. And then I know the request came from all of you to bring back some academic and some attendance data. We're planning on bringing something formal back to you at the end of October, which really has allowed a lot of time to get people dialed in and everything. I worked with principals yesterday to get a commitment to make sure that they assess all of their students at least kindergarten through 8th grade, and possibly even some high schoolers using STAR reading and STAR math assessments. Those are very comprehensive and are really good diagnostic. They provide a great baseline on where students are performing academically. So I think you'll enjoy seeing that data when we bring that back. And then in the same sitting, we'll also go ahead and bring you some attendance data too. But I'm very optimistic about that attendance data. It's looking good across the district, and I think you'll be pleased as well. And then just doing some great work, I've got the privilege of being part of the Justice, the Equity, Inclusion, and help me out with that acronym again, Ryan. JEIW. What is that again? Open up your mind.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, you have it, Justice. I think you said it right. Well, justice, equality, or equity, right? Inclusion and love, right? Overcoming hatred. The opposite of hatred is love, right?
That's right. So it's been great working with some colleagues, Dennis, Robert, Ryan, Dr. Willie Jones, James Fields, Maria Hughes, and did I leave out anybody, or did I? Oh, John Garner. I think that rounds out our team there. Did anybody else did I forget?
Did you say Tony Buckley? Did you catch that one?
Tony Buckley as well. So thank you. I didn't want to leave anybody out, but really I've been enjoying our time together, and just on focusing what's in the forefront of society and trying to do what's best to support our kids as well as our adults in the district. Also got a chance to jump on the Riverside County Office of Education. They're doing a platform or a kind of a webinar series. I think it's about probably 5 or 6 sessions along the same lines of social justice and everything. It was really nice. Saw some familiar faces last night from our district as well as some others. I saw Dr. Dale Marsden online last night, so it was nice to see him and some others as well. There was over 100 people involved, and that went from about 6 o'clock to 8:30, and that was some good camaraderie. While I turned off my camera and ate dinner, I did some good learning and got to hear people's stories, so that was great. And student tutoring, I wanted to get back to you on that. I know that's come up, and I think it's been alluded to that there is some very good work going on, whether it's one-on-one or small group interventions and classwork together. The teachers are doing an outstanding job getting kids what they need during this time of adult learning. So with that being said, I just one other thing, something exciting on Thursday. Chad Brooks is going to be leading the WASC review for adult education, which to my understanding, I don't know if that happens very often with WASC accreditation for adult schools. So I think it's a great thing. I'm going to be sitting on the WASC review and then be a part of the debrief later on that afternoon. So thank you. I appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you very much, Mr. Miller. And that takes us to Mr. Zimmerman's comments.
Yeah, thank you very much, everybody. I agree with everything that has been echoed. Our staff, our families, they are awesome to work with, to work for, to serve. And that's what we continue to do on a day-by-day basis. Kenny, loved your quote. I feel like during COVID, I'm looking more and more like Winnie the Pooh. So I need to quote Winnie the Pooh a little more often, leave Eeyore quotes aside, get a few Tiggers going and obviously some Piglets and others. But I just love that quote. Retirement incentive up and running now for almost 2 weeks. People are jumping in and inquiring, getting their questions answered. We have had a number of people already commit that have last days with the district, October, November, January, June dates, so some, in the future still coming, but some coming up quick, and people really looking and making some good movement when we celebrate with each one of those people and just are so thankful for their service. Enrollment, just a quick update. I haven't updated the board on that in a long time during administrative comments, but we are at 99% of our projected enrollment for the 2020-2021 school year. Thank you, families, for trusting us. Thank you, staff, for doing everything you can to recruit, enrollment and hold on to it and serve those people. It's just incredible. Even with transitional kindergarten and kindergarten enrollment being down a little bit from what we expected, some other grades are up. So it is looking great there, and just very excited. Thank you, James Fields, for the marketing you've done and securing us a billboard and other things going out. And the biggest way we draw enrollment is word of mouth, family to family, staff members with families, students to students. It truly is the best possible way. So thank you all, and I'll pass it on to whomever is next.
Thank you, Mr. Zimmerman. That would be Robert Chacon.
Good handoff. Thanks, Z. Kenny, I just want to second what you said. I too do love my powder morning, so please do not take snow days away, Dr. Holman. I try. Kids, families, trust me, I try to convince him. He overrules me most of the time because I want to get out there as bad as everybody else. But really, just a huge shout out to parents. Holy smokes, these last 8 weeks have been. I think we're in week 8, right? Week 8. Man, it's been tough. And me as a parent of a 3rd grader and a 5th grader, trust me, I feel what you are going through. There's nothing harder than 5th grade math. I absolutely promise you that. I have watched hours and hours of YouTube videos on how to add fractions using Common Core. I mean, I don't know. So big shout out to the parents. Keep it up, keep it going. Let us know how we could help. We're here to help. We want to make sure that our kids are getting everything that they possibly can get. So thank you. Keep it going.
Thank you very much for that. Ms. Stapp, your comments?
Next to your lunch, and China ate your lunch, Joe.
Yes. Whoops. Thank you, President Behringer. Just a quick update on, excuse me, on Care Solace, just to let you know that it is being used. We've had several employees, families, students, lots of people reaching out. And so it is being used, Kenny. Just wanted to give you that update. And Christina. And that's all I'm going to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that update, Ms. Stapp. And that takes us to Dr. Holman's comments.
All right, thank you, President Behringer. Member Funk, always love your quotes. I appreciate Winnie the Pooh. There have been some references to Winnie the Pooh tonight. I just want to get back to what I think I took from that quote, the notion of courage, strength, and intelligence. Thanks to all you board members, because I think you're absolutely underappreciated. This is a tough time for everybody, incredibly tough to provide the direction that all of you have. And I'm just so thankful for that you provided. Thank you for being courageous enough and strong enough and intelligent enough to give us the direction. Cohorts is an example. You think about what you're allowing us to do. We're providing kids with acute needs, as is mentioned. And back to the county there, and I appreciate what Nancy reminded me of, that we all know here, right? Those are our own kids, right? Those are, for the most part, all of our own kids. So thank you for allowing that to occur. We greatly appreciate that. And in the spirit of those cohorts, I think it's really important for us as our kids are able to come back. I would really like to have a quick discussion and pose that we as a board at our next meeting beginning in October, on the 13th, consider coming back as an option, right? Because the way it's coming back, it's an option for students. I think it's important that we would model that, all the while knowing that it's perfectly fine for us to do both. And there was a question here, and we can mimic that, if you will, and we should align ourselves to the questions that are asked of us. Can we stay home as need be? I think we still need to maintain that, but I think now is the time, given that we're having kids and staff coming back in small cohorts, for us to resume with, of course, physical distancing, with, of course, masks as are necessary, with, of course, all the safety precautions beginning again on October 13th. So I turn that over to you, President Behringer, to see the consensus of the board, all the while knowing that there's still options out there.
Okay, so we do have students returning in person on campuses. How do we feel about presenting in person for our board meetings, serving as a role model for them?
I'm ready.
Explore all options.
Wait a minute, what's explore all options?
I'm for hearing a presentation on in-person learning.
Well, I'm saying, are you ready in our first meeting in October of joining in the boardroom with physical distancing and masks?
Sure.
So I hear Steve, yes, Member Colon, Member Funk. How about Member Hernandez, Member Nielsen?
Because of my age and the concerns I have for this virus, I won't be coming back in an in-person class. The masks are only 40-50% effective, and God forbid we have somebody show up with a disease at our board meeting. And so I if I can do it, I'll do it with on the internet. And if that's not acceptable, well, then I won't be able to come.
I believe we would be able to accommodate any board member or staff member who is not desiring to attend in person. So that's absolutely an option. We definitely have the technological capability. How about you, Member Hernandez?
As I am still working remotely for work, and as my family would choose to not send my child to school at this time, I don't think it would be prudent either for me to attend in person.
Okay. I do understand that a number of employers are starting to ramp up and send people back. Has there not been discussion of that at your workplace?
No, not at all yet.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I am in favor of returning in person. So, Dr. Holman, if the three that so choose to present at the Student Support Services building for our next board meeting, and then we could have the two other board members remotely participating, that should work.
Absolutely, President Behringer, we have the wherewithal to do that. And that would really be the expectation. And everything that's been said here is really in line with everything that we provide right now and will be providing, right? Is that option to stay in the settings as were indicated by members Nielsen and Hernandez for those perfectly appropriate reasons. That's totally appropriate. For the board members who are willing and able to come, that is great. Those of us at the administrative level, same thing applies, willing and able to come. We'll have the internet access, or excuse me, not internet access, but the access via the internet available so that it will be projected so that everyone can still appreciate it, all the while knowing that we would close it to the public. Does that make sense? It would just be for administration, board members who can make it, and then board members who are and even administration who can't make it would then be, if you will, piped in via cyberspace. And so we'll make that happen and based on the consensus what seems to be there, and make sure that it's safe and secure at all times.
And just to be clear about the community comments, we'll still be receiving them in the same fashion, following the same protocol
We sure would.
next month's board meeting.
We sure would. It'd be, in effect, our small cohort, mimic, in line with the cohorts that are allowable here, a very small cohort of less than 10, based upon who's able to be there. So it seems like there's consensus, but I'll turn that back over to you, President Behringer, and we'll start working on that if that's the direction.
Okay. Who is interested in moving forward with in-person meetings, whether you're attending or not?
I guess
I'm in favor.
I would not be in favor.
Okay. So we have.
I would not be in favor either.
Okay. So we have a majority, but not a consensus.
Yeah, and again, if the consensus is that everyone's willing to give that a try, knowing that we'll have access for everybody, whether it be in this setting and in the personal setting, we can move forward if there's consensus that way. If not, we'll do it at at the next stage that all of you are so willing.
Is majority not consensus?
You're muted, Dr. Holman.
Oh, sorry about that there. Yeah, that's a great question. I feel like that's been debated until the ends of the earth over time, consensus versus majority. But again, I would say this. I feel like the majority would say we're very willing to give it a try and be in line with that, as long as those who aren't going to be there feel like they're going to have equal access. I just want to ensure that everyone feels like they have equal access to all that's going on. I feel like we can do that. We're prepared to do that. I just wouldn't want to move forward if those who aren't able to attend, and that's board members and administrators, don't feel like they would have equal access to the information. I think we can overcome that, though, for sure.
So are we all in favor of opening it up to those board members who so desire to be in person? Or do we want to have it remain strictly online? I need to hear from you.
Well, I'm going to throw a wrench in it. I just looked at my schedule. It's my dad's 75th birthday. I'll be in Tulsa, Oklahoma on that day. So
Good for you, Kenny.
I will abstain. So, whew.
Okay, well, I know that Member Hernandez and Member Nielsen are not interested in attending in person, but are you opposed to opening it to the board to attend in person on site? Should we go to?
I don't have a problem with what the rest of the board wants to do or the administrative team. I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
But it's your decision.
And you're fine with participating remotely?
Yeah, because the thing that isn't going to change is the audience.
Right.
That's the thing I'm concerned about is people want to hear the board and brain ideas or whatever to the board. It's still going to be this online process, so it's not going to change much. It's just that you'll be at the district office, and I'll be in my office again.
Right.
So it's okay. I mean, I don't have a problem. You guys do what you want to do.
Member Hernandez, your comments?
Yeah, same. I do not oppose those that feel that they are comfortable and confident to do that as a personal choice. I would choose otherwise.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That sounds good. I feel like we have achieved consensus.
Thanks so very much, and we're give it a try. I really appreciate that opportunity to try that. We'll ensure that we keep you all posted on how that will shape up, and it gives me an opportunity to say thanks to Rick Hernandez, to James Fields, to Robert Chacon, who lead this effort. Tonight's really groundbreaking too. I can't quite call it a Spanish simulcast, but we do have and will have tomorrow morning this board meeting translated into Spanish. And that was due to their great work that was actually facilitated originally by Charlotte Eckenroth. So very thankful for her, who got that information and that idea from the great people who are our Spanish-speaking families, stakeholders in terms of parents and guardians, as well as our employees who support the Spanish-speaking population. So it's just a powerful step. I can say real quickly, not many at all, if at all, districts in really California are doing this. We've done some of this investigation. It's not completely unprecedented, but not many are doing it, particularly across San Bernardino County. So really excited to see the outcome of this and just a powerful step to continue to engage our stakeholders. So thanks so very much to all those who I just mentioned. I'd also love to continue to talk about EBF. That's the Educational Benefit Form. Alan, thanks for bringing that piece up. I think you said that very well. The only pieces I would add, EBF, Educational Benefit Form. It is a form we're asking everyone to fill out so that we can maximize the educational benefit of every single child. And so while we're at just about 3/4 of everyone filling that out, thank you oh so very much. It truly is less than 5 minutes. And if you haven't, and people might say, oh, well, I don't use the lunch and meal services. It's really not about that, right? I don't think I would, be able to help you by filling that. It's really not about that. Last year, I'll give you some numbers, and everyone listening, because of us getting more and more people filling out this form, we got in excess of $800,000 in supplemental funds that can only be spent and should be spent on students. That's a powerful amount of money that we're able to provide services to kids. And so that's just one more plug. People say, well, you just want the money. Yeah, we want the money so that we can provide services for the kids. It's not for my salary, for anyone you see on the stage or anybody's salary. This is for services that will directly impact students. And so please, we've got our last few days. We were excited to get a few extra days. We kept saying the end of the month, and we now know that we can push it until the 7th of October. With a little bit of luck, we can get to 90%, like Alan said, if not 100. So thanks to all of you for continuing to engage in that. I also want to talk about hotspots real quickly. Thanks to, again, Rick Hernandez, another a thank you to him and all of the technological team that works for our IT department. Boy, that has been a challenge. And I want to say this, we're so very thankful that we've gotten those those hot spots from Verizon, but boy, it's been a challenge. Right now, I just have to say, we are being held up not by anyone on this end, but really on the end of Verizon and their efforts to try to move this along. I just have to really put that plug in for our team right now. You parents out there who are being patient, thank you. I'm so sorry this is the case, but I want you to be really understanding of the notion of all the hours that IT departments put in, and it's not an issue on our end. It really is on the other end that we're trying to finish the configuration. So thank you for hanging in there with us. Verizon, we're in contact with them every single day. We're moving them along, so it should be very, very soon. I'm sorry for that, but I do appreciate being able to share that. And then lastly, I'll just end where we started. It's with students. Well, that was just so very great. And it just reiterated for me that it really isn't about social distancing. It's about physically distancing so we can socially connect. I felt socially connected to those kids. I felt socially connected to the staff members led by Dr. Avery. That was so very powerful. Thank you all who make that happen again, it's our district treasurer, and that is our students here. So thanks, President Behringer, for the time here tonight.
Thank you very much for your comments. And that there being no further business before the board, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Madam President, this is Dave Nielsen. I move that we adjourn the meeting.
And a second?
Second.
Got it. And roll call vote. Member Hernandez.
Aye.
Member Colomb.
Aye.
Member Nielsen.
Aye.
Member Funk.
Aye.
And Christina Behringer votes aye as well. We are adjourned. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great night. Stay safe.